Hey everyone, MJ here, and in this video we're going to be talking about Starfield, a brilliant but flawed RPG. I've wanted to make this video for a while now because I've seen so many takes and thoughts about Starfield, and personally I've been waiting for this game since they announced it back in 2018. Now obviously the game's been out for a few months now, so people have been able to play it for a long time and digest what the game is. I have over 150 hours in Starfield, and I thought that with all of that time, I would be able to give my thoughts on the game since I've played it so much and I've seen what Bethesda has done for a space RPG, something that they've wanted to do since like the inception of them for 25 years. I wanted to see how they've actually planned it out and give my thoughts on it. But yes, you've read the title right. Even though I do adore Starfield, I can see that it is a very flawed game at its core, and I'm hoping that Bethesda, as from the community as a whole, can take feedback from us and replicate this for Elder Scrolls 6, because there will be these issues in Elder Scrolls 6 if they don't address them here in Starfield. If you want a quick little basic review of my thoughts on the game, Starfield is an ocean just super wide, but as deep as a puddle. That is the analogy I would use with Starfield. It has so many things that you can do, from spaceship combat to ground combat, to the cool powers they have, to the base building, to the ship customization. They have so many cool things. They described it as a ton of games, like 10 games in one, and that is amazing because there's so much content here for you to do, but each just thing that you can do is not as in-depth as in other games that they've created. The starship customization is fucking amazing. I think it's deep. The armor customization, now there's barely any. Like, that's the issue. With Fallout 4, they had so much armor customization, weapon customization. It's not as deep as in Fallout 4. Again, the guns look different, but they just don't feel as different as they would be than in Fallout 4. In a lot of cases, from Fallout 4 and then 76 to Starfield, I feel like they've moved a lot of things forward, but they've also pulled a lot of things back, and in this video I'm going to be talking about it. So before we get started, I just wanted to say that I'm going to be breaking this down into a pros and cons list. Now we're going to be starting with the cons first before we move on to the pros, because it's just going to format the video easier. Instead of me talking about something bad, then good, then bad. It's just going to be all bad for the first and then all good for the second. So to start us off on the cons list, we're going to be talking about the base building and outpost management in Starfield. To start us off, sadly, I don't even know how Bethesda fucked this up. The base building is not as deep as in Fallout 4 or as even in Fallout 76. There is a lack of items that you can use to build, and the good items are locked behind so many perks, when in Fallout 4 you had access to usually a lot of the base building items that you could use, with some obviously locked behind perks, but Starfield has them so locked behind perks and levels, it's really hard to base build. Now I know Bethesda meant for this to be an end game thing to do, but in every other fucking game that they have created with base building, it is not an end game thing. And I understand, like, the resource gathering as well. To get into this, it takes forever to get resources, and you have to just go buy it, and then you have to get the money to buy it, which is fine. I know it's an end game thing that you can do, but even then, as an end game item, unless you put hundreds of hours, like I've seen people on Twitter make these awesome cool bases, but you can't just, it's not as in depth and as cool as in Fallout 4, where it's as easy to use. People felt this way for Fallout 4 as well. They felt that it was rushed. The base building was rushed. And in Starfield, it 100% was. I feel like when using the outpost system, it's used as an afterthought. There's no real bonus to using it for yourself other than just having to use it. You do not need to base build in Starfield, and you don't need to do it in Fallout 4 or Fallout 76 as well, more in Fallout 4. But in Fallout 4, there's a real reason to. As a supply camp, you can get food, you can get water, you can use it for quests, you can just grow the civilization, you're rebuilding society. And in Starfield, there's that way of, yeah, you're building places, you're adding life to planets where there may or may not be life, and it's awesome, but it's just not as deep as Starfield, and it could have been worked on more. The outpost management as well is not nearly as in-depth as Fallout 4. And Fallout 4, there were so many things that you would be able to assign your settlers to do, like farming or defenses or even manning artillery, which was fucking amazing. There were so many cool things that you could do, especially in the DLC. You could get them to exercise, you could get them on the little bikes to power areas. It was cool. You could put them in pillories, which would be like little prisons. There were so many unique things that you could do with the settlers, but in Starfield, it's really just working. And then the robots, which are pretty cool, honestly. Once you get enough perks, you can get robots that will increase your farming and resource gathering, which is pretty cool because then you're going to have robots to walk around. But it's just not as in-depth as Fallout 4 when it comes to the base building and outpost management. Next, we're going to be discussing the space travel. Now, this is not to be confused with the space combat, as we're going to be talking that later in the pros list. Just to start, I honestly don't know how Bethesda fucked this so badly. It's a space game. Now, I understand. Now, a lot of people expected it to be like No Man's Sky. I was not one of them, but I expected the space game to be able to travel in space. The majority of the space exploration is fast travel, is there grab jumping, which is fucking cool. The animation for it is awesome, but it's not space travel. We're not flying planet to planet, which realistically we should be. And I get that there's 1,000 planets and they're all hugely generated, and technically you can fly to other planets. I know that. It just takes 7 hours apparently, but still, like, we should be able to have some secondary boost, like in No Man's Sky, for example, to be able to go planet to planet without having to fast travel. It's really sad to see, but it's sad to say as well that Starfield's space travel is really just fast travel from a planet to another planet, fast travel from one solar system to another solar system. It's really sad because they could have done something really cool with Starfield space travel, and the ships are awesome and the ship's gameplay is awesome, but where they messed up was the spaceship travel. I still don't know why we can't go planet to planet. It's understandable if we can't go galaxy to galaxy or solar system to solar system, and that would need the grab jump. That's fair. But putting us on a little cutscene of our ship just coasting by is so unnecessary when we could just actually fly to that planet. Now, it might be a limitation of the engine, which is understandable, but I'm fully expecting mods to be fixing this when it launches. Next, we're going to be talking about the space and planetary exploration in Starfield. Again, it's really disappointing to see that Starfield was not able to even get a basic Bethesda thing right. Bethesda is known for their amazing exploration in their games. In Elder Scrolls, Fallout, we all know this. This is a given, right? Bethesda is amazing at their exploration. They know how to make a good game and how to make a good map. But by making their entire game really just procedural generation, it hurts the game. And especially since in Fallout 4, for example, every minute or two you will find something cool, right? You'll find a house with some loot in it, you'll find a raider or two, you'll find a holotape, you'll find a note with some dialogue on it, you'll find something, right? And it keeps you interested in going. In Starfield, when you land on a planet, a point of interest is about 5 minutes of running away, is 2 to 5 minutes of running away, and that hurts the exploration because it doesn't give me an incentive to land on a planet and then walk around. And Bethesda cannot make a game about space exploration and planetary exploration and make the planets boring. It's just really sad to see that their thing that they should have gotten right, because they've gotten it right in every single other game that they've ever created, they fucked it up here. The space exploration as well, again, I don't know how they fucked it. It's like I said back in the fast travel segment of the video, it's fast traveling from section to section. You can't explore anything. Now, when you do find something like, say, an abandoned space station, it's fucking awesome, right? You land on it and it's like, holy shit, there's cool people on here. And don't get me wrong, that part of the exploration is fucking amazing. I absolutely love that. When you find a space station, you find like a herd of ships, or if you have the wanted perk like I did, and then you find bounty hunters chasing you, and like when you fast travel into a new spot, and then bounty defenders come in and help you out. Usually I also blow them up for the extra parts, but those moments in the game are what make the game so awesome. It's just when it happens repeatedly is the issue with Starfield as well, is the repetition of it. It happens like every 5th time you fast travel somewhere, and then it's just a chore that you have to fight these bounty hunters or other enemies. Now we're going to be talking about Starfield's RPG mechanics and choices and consequences and everything that would revolve around Starfield being an RPG. Starfield's RPG mechanics are honestly just like, they're good at best. I don't know what it is with Bethesda, but since Skyrim, they have not been able to replicate their success with the RPGs. They're trying to move to a more casual experience, which with Fallout 4 was heavily casualized compared to it. Now, that's the Bethesda game I started with, and I loved it, but of course, again, it was for casuals, so that's a game I would love. But even stuff like the skill trees, Starfield has better skill trees, in my opinion, than Fallout 4, but they're still not as good as, say, Fallout 3 or Skyrim, where they're really in-depth with it. In Starfield, you unlock a perk, and then you do that perk to then enough. So say that you get 20 kills shotguns, and then you can use another perk level to unlock it, which is a cool system like they did in Skyrim, but then you have to spend another perk point to unlock it instead of just doing the activity and then leveling it up. You have to kill 20 enemies, and then you can level up further to do more damage. What they should have done is say every time you kill 100 enemies, your damage goes up by 1%, and then it caps out at like 100% or something, right? Something where if you actually do that activity, instead of having to waste perk points to put into it, where you'd be able to do more RPGs activities. Now, they do have some perks with it, where say, people were complaining about Starfield forcing you to put a perk into stealth before you could even do it, which is understandable because, like, yeah, you can't just start doing stealth. Like in Fallout 4 and 3, And in my understanding, I'm pretty sure Skyrim, you could always do stealth, but in Starfield, you need to do a perk to do that. And you also need to have a perk to even lockpick, which is also confusing. But those are more in tune with RPG mechanics, but they went too far with some stuff, like being able to have to put in a perk point to get pickpocketing and to get stealth, but then like the perks to upgrade your damage and to upgrade your weapon customization, it's super fucking annoying to have to upgrade your perk to upgrade weapon and armor customization and ship customization, and then having to build 10 things to then unlock it again just to get the better gear, instead of just being able to do it all, or just having a certain level cap. Like in Fallout 4, if you are level 20, you'll get one level of that perk, and then when you're level 30, you can unlock the next one, instead of having to upgrade 10 guns with those shitty perks. Another issue with Bethesda's mechanics is their just dialogue options with the extra traits. When you're being a beast hunter, or someone who's wanted, or any of those other ones like the child one, it offers very little dialogue options that are useful. Now, for some cases, like in my case, with the Crimson Fleet questline at the end, it involves the wanted perk that I had gave me a dialogue option that stopped me from having to kill 2 major characters, and they would just surrender, which I thought was like, holy shit, this perk is actually useful. But then another perk I have is just fucking useless, or other perks I've seen. Like, how is Chef gonna go into it? Now, obviously for Chef, some of it might be useful, but most of the time it's just going to be an extra little dialogue option that won't mean much, where you could just persuade someone and you get the same outcome. And just to note, I cannot get over how fucking dog shit Starfield's persuasion is. I don't know where they were going with it, but I would rather have Fallout 4's just charisma being level 10, you instantly get it, than whatever they decided to do here. In Starfield, they give you a bunch of different options for persuasion, and they give you green, yellow, and red for the level of difficulty it is to persuade. But then they also give you the bullshit little, like, quick just little dialogues they'll give you. So like, it'll be completely fucking random. Like, someone will be able to take over the power of the universe, and you can just talk them down by saying like, oh, you don't want to do this. And it's like, what? Like, and then if you say that, they'll be like, okay, I won't do it, you can have it. And it's like, fucking what? Like, where did Bethesda think that this was good writing? I don't like, the persuasion system is fucking awful, but in some situations it can be useful if you have certain perks, again, or if you've done certain things in the game. You can have the easiest difficulty, which is like a light blue, where it's instant success, but you obviously won't get it. Now, they obviously do have critical successes as well, which I thought was cool. Like, 20 hours in, I persuaded someone and I got a critical success. Thank God, because I was trying to persuade them. But Bethesda just did not do well with their persuasion system. The dialogue system, though, is fucking great, and we'll get into that later. Now, these are all the main issues that I've had with Starfield, all of the cons of Starfield that I feel like are worth noting for the game. Now, we're going to be getting onto the pros, but I wanted to quickly mention one more time that Bethesda has allowed this game to be held back by their engine. Now, their engine's fucking amazing, I'm not going to get it wrong, but mods will be the savior of this game. They want this game to be another Skyrim, mods will be the ones to save it. Starfield and Bethesda will be okay in the future, obviously under Xbox, no matter how this game turns out. They have over 12 million players. It's a massive success. It's a top seller of the year, even while being on Game Pass, and it's fucking amazing. I love Starfield, but holy shit, did they ever fuck up with a lot of their things that they're good at. Like, I don't know how they messed up at exploration. Like, that is the thing Bethesda is known for, is for their worlds and maps, and they fucked it. Fallout 76's map, I would argue, is their best map that they've ever made, and Starfield is somehow worse. Now, after all the cons that I've talked about and all the issues with the game, now we're going to finally be moving on to the pros and why I think it's a fucking brilliant RPG. To start off with the pros list, we're going to be starting off with Starfield's gunplay and powers. Starfield's combat, gunplay, powers are just some of the best that they've ever fucking created in a Bethesda game. Like, holy shit, the gunplay is fucking phenomenal. I cannot tell you otherwise. It is amazing. It makes every other Bethesda game look 20 years behind, I'm being honest. Now, its gunplay obviously isn't as good as, like, say, Doom or Halo, but for a Bethesda game, holy shit, they put it above and beyond here. I cannot tell you how amazing it is. And combined with the powers, like how you can freeze time, or how you can just give yourself unlimited oxygen, or just fucking make enemies float while you shoot them midair. It's amazing, from the shotguns to the rifles to the grenade launchers to all the kinds of weapon capabilities. And even at some points, now I know I said this earlier about the customization, that it's not that great, but when you can customize it, and the fucking legendary weapons, they brought them back from Fallout 4 and Fallout 76. When I got an explosive rifle on my first playthrough, that shit shredded every enemy I found, and that was awesome. I kept that shit like it was my baby. I kept it safe. I fed it ammo. It's just, the combat was amazing. Just being like, I played a stealth character, at least I tried to, with my explosive rifle, and it was awesome. There's so many cool builds that you can do, and it's fucking amazing. Sadly, though, the melee combat isn't as good as it should be, though. It feels like it was an afterthought, but they do have some pretty cool weapons in Starfield, like some pretty cool knives and swords and a Varoon slicer or something like that. It's a pretty cool, like, handheld weapon. And the swords actually do have some pretty cool ninja abilities, especially when you're in third person. You will slice and dice like a fucking ninja. The powers are also so much better than just shooting. You can also use them to your advantage around the world. When you kill creatures, you can bring them back to life. You can duplicate yourself, and that duplicate will be using the weapon you're holding to fight off enemies. You could bring dead enemies back to life. It's so fucking cool to see all the shit that you can do with the powers. And even some powers you can use to, like, rejuvenate plants or resources and all this other cool shit that you can do, like launch orbs that just suck in all the atmosphere around it and suck in all enemies, and you could just use grenade launchers to blow them up, and all these cool abilities you guys have to find for yourselves in this game. I'm telling you, the powers alone make Starfield worth playing. Now we're going to start talking about the cities and the points of interest in Starfield. The cities in Starfield, from Neon to New Atlantis to Aquila to all the other smaller cities you can find around the game, are all fucking amazing. They're all so unique and cool. They all have so many quests that you can find with them, so many cool characters you can talk to, companions you can find. The cities have been done so well. Neon looks beautiful. New Atlantis looks fucking gorgeous. Aquila City, when the sunset's going on, obviously a desert with the sunset looks beautiful, but when I left that main building in Aquila City and sunset hit me, holy shit, the game looks gorgeous. The points of interest as well when you're landing on planets. Now, to take 2 to 5 minutes to get there is very annoying, but once you get there, they are actually interesting. You can find gas station sites, you can find wind turbines, you can find whole ass outposts, towers full of enemies that you have to kill, like 20, 30, 40 enemies. They get to some cool end of game dungeon chest. The points of interest and the cities are very well done, and I'll commend Bethesda because it is their best cities that they have ever created in a game that they've made. Next, we're going to be talking about Starfield's enemy variety and enemy design. The enemy design and variety in Starfield is really overwhelming when it comes down to it. Now, the human design itself is not a lot. Now, you have like the typical raiders, you'll have like all the factions, but that's about it for humans. There's no humanoid aliens. Now, the animals itself, there are so many different kinds of animals, from water animals to to air animals to land animals. There's like dinosaur-looking animals. There's the crazy ones like the Terramorphs, which remind me of the Deathclaw in Fallout 4. Those are like the scary animals, the one you're really scared of. There's animals that are related to missions that have a lot of lore and context to them. It's really cool to see, but the enemy variety itself with the humans is lacking. But they do have a lot of different factions and weapons, and each of them have their own ships, which are all very... The ships itself have so much variety to them. You're not going to find a ship that looks the same unless it's like a designated name ship, which is usually the faction ships. Next, we're going to have a really quick segment on the spacesuits and armors in Starfield. Each armor and different kind of spacesuit in Starfield, all of them, there's so much variety to the suits. They all look beautiful, from all the faction spacesuits to the Starborn ones that you can get. They all look gorgeous, and Bethesda clearly put so much time into the spacesuits where you can look like whoever you want to be. If you want to look like a trucker, which is funny, if you want to look like a hauler, a trader, a bounty hunter, if you want to look like a captain, there's so many different kinds of suits for you guys to try out. It's fucking amazing to see. Now moving on to one of my favorite parts about Starfield, the companions. Starfield's main 4 companions consist of Barrett, Sarah, Andreja, and Sam. Now, all of them together, they are all pretty cool. I do like every single companion. Now, obviously, you can't forget about Vasco, but Vasco is an awesome fucking companion. If you have trouble choosing which one you want to pick for a full playthrough, I recommend Vasco. He doesn't dislike or like anything you do, and he's just funny to have. Especially with some crazy clips that you can take with him. I've had some pretty funny moments with Vasco. Sam is the cowboy kind of guy. Barrett is just like the Constellation's perfect person, trying to find what's out there. Sarah is like that too, and Andreja is just trying to find a new home, after being discarded by her own. All 4 companions have an amazing backstory and awesome quests with them, and just so much dialogue that you can delve into, especially, and the system with companions as well. Now, with Fallout 4, you had to do things they like. With Starfield, to my understanding, you have to do the things they like and just spend time with them as they're following you. You don't have to do a certain amount of things they like to just get the new companion dialogues, which I think is a benefit to Bethesda's new game, because Fallout 4 was really annoying to having to max out each companion's dialogue trees. Now we're going to be talking about Starfield's graphics and art design. Straight up, all I have to say about Starfield's graphics and art design is that it is fucking beautiful. Bethesda has just put so much effort into Starfield's just design and art. They have so many different environments and just things that you can look at. They're all eye candy. All of the cities look gorgeous. Even the procedurally generated stuff. When you land on a planet, and if you're at a sunset, or even if you're not at a sunset, like if you're landing on a moon and the star in the middle of the solar system is just placed right, it looks fucking gorgeous. Or when you're on a moon and you can see the close planet up to you, like the ringed planet, it's just fucking amazing. Starfield is Bethesda's biggest upgrade with their graphics. Now, obviously, Starfield's graphics can look like utter dog shit sometimes, but when they look good, they look fucking good. It is amazing to see that Bethesda put so much time into their graphics part of the engine where it looks this gorgeous. Last but not least, we're going to be talking about Starfield's main quest and story. Now, no worries, there will be no major spoilers in this little discussion of the main quest and story, as it's a review and I don't want to be spoiling it for people who somehow have not played this game yet. Starfield's main quest starts you off as a miner trying to find this artifact for a client who wants to buy it. Now, you start finding the artifact, you touch it, you gaze into this infinite universe vision you have, and then you find Constellation, who are trying to find what's out there. You go on quests with them, you to find more artifacts, you lead into some cruel group of people who I'm not going to spoil, but you do find this group of people who may know something or may not know something. It leads you into this big, just battle between humans and past or future humans. It's really cool, and I recommend playing it. There's so many different things that can happen in these quests too. There's one where you have to make a deal, like kind of like a smuggling deal. There's one where you board the ship of a collector and you have to try to find an artifact. There's all these cool little missions that you can do within it, and then side quests that also pop up too after doing these quests if you do it correctly. It's awesome because I feel like personally it's Bethesda's best main quest, and at the end of it, it's amazing. You go through all of that, and there are some pretty big plot twists as well in the middle of Starfield's main quest that can actually fuck you up. Like, I cried a little bit at a certain part of this quest, and it's only for your first playthrough because you can turn it back when you do complete the main quest. You can fix this at some point of your game, but it made me cry the first time I played it, because it was just like, holy shit, this happened. I can't believe that happened. I did not expect that. That came out of fucking nowhere. I didn't think that choice would have that effect that much. And Bethesda has done something awesome here with their story, and I commend them for some of the best writing that they've done in their own games. After all that is said and done, and all the pros and cons that I've given you, I'm gonna let you guys pick if you want to play this game or not. Now, if you've already played the game, I'm happy that you've watched this video to hear my thoughts on it. But if you have not played this game yet, I hope that my video has helped you somehow in making a decision. Now, it's free on Game Pass. It's not free if you pay for it, but it's on Game Pass. It's $10 if you want to try it for a month. I recommend doing that. It's $10. Just try the game. It's fucking amazing at the extent. Now, obviously, if any of the cons that I've stated turn you off of the game, that's completely fair. I'm not going to tell you to play the game if you're not interested in it, but if you have any interest in space games and any of the pros that I've given you, I highly recommend this game. I want to thank you all for watching this video. Please like, share, comment, subscribe if you also choose to, and I'll see you all in the next video. See ya.